Welcome to Talking Tactics, a show about insights and the results they ignite. I'm Safania Stevenson, a brand strategist and cultural analyst in the wonderful world of marketing. And every other week, I dig into the aha moments that changed everything for a higher education marketer. Each episode of Talking Tactics starts with an insight, following it from observation to action that created measurable results. We're talking about the breakthrough moments that happen with scrappy resources, and sometimes we'll even explore the tactics that, crashed and burned, because there's also value in trial and error. Your next innovative idea might be hiding in your data, your hallway conversations, or your own gut instinct. So let's get to it. All right, folks, welcome back to another episode of Talking Tactics. When I say mask, you say Scott. Mask.
Scott.
Thank you. Thank you. I knew somebody was going to do it. So if you said it, I love you. If you didn't say it, I still love you. You just need some more fun in your life. And hopefully today's conversation can help. We're talking about fun, strategy, and fur. Yeah, you heard me. In the studio today from LMU, we have Megan Nash Milligan, Brand Marketing Strategist, and Stephanie Teresi, Associate Director of Trademarks, Licensing, and Promotional Assets. Welcome to the studio, ladies.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And just so you all know, when these two lovely ladies are not accidentally twinning in the workplace, they are bringing some memory, some movement, some motion to LMU's mascot, Mr. Iggy himself. And that's what we're going to be talking about. But before we get started, Stephanie, tell me a little bit about what you do in your role at LMU.
I am the Associate Director of Trademarks, Licensing, and Promotional Assets. It's a mouthful. So basically, anytime our marks are being used, whether that is internally on swag items or in the retail world, I'm the one who gives the final okay. Sweet. With Iggy specifically, my focus was really on building that structural foundation, overseeing the research, focus groups, and design work that went into recreating the costume itself. And then in my current day-to-day, I oversee how our mascot marks are protected and licensed across campus.
Awesome. And what about you, Megan?
Yeah, so I am the brand marketing strategist. I do a lot of things on the day-to-day, primarily campaign management, all different types of campaigns, our big brand campaign, our peer campaigns, and then, of course, the most fun and the energy filling is the mascot program itself. In terms of how I was involved in our big mascot rebrand, I was primarily focused on the rollout and then sustaining his appearances, especially on the university side, as this is shared between athletics and the university.
So before we get into the Iggy's big glow up, help us understand how Iggy is even set up at your institution, because one thing that I'm learning is that mascots and who manages mascots is set up and structured so differently across, and you all have a pretty unique place in which Iggy sits within your kind of like identity and branding. So tell us how LMU manages and where Iggy fits in with your central Marcom and branding.
Sure. So both of us are relatively new. I'm just had my 2-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Prior to us being here, Iggy lived in athletics. At one point, he was owned by the Spirit Squad, which for us is a club sport. It's not a D1 sport. So he was kind of overseen by the Spirit Squad. And then kind of half-heartedly overseen by athletics a little bit. They had a little bit of control over him, but it really got to the point that when someone requested Iggy to appear somewhere, they literally got handed the costume, a bottle of Febreze, and like a prayer. So
that's how I wake up every morning too. Relatable.
When we came in, there was absolutely no centralized governance over the costume. There was no program. There was no set student. It was kind of like, hey, who's available and fits in the shoes? So you take over what we ended up doing.
Yeah. So then from there, we kind of split it between athletics and the brand team. Mm-hmm. Athletics is a really small team, and so they didn't have the bandwidth to fully manage all of these non-athletics events. And that was one of our goals, to get him out there more and to build on the brand and have this storytelling moment through the mascot. So we, on the brand team, handle university events. Athletics handles all the athletics events, all the basketball games and such. And then we do come together for collaborations and activations, big brand moments that we try to have every year. So that's kind of how it's working now. And it's going really well. It's exciting. So we kind of have our lane, they have theirs, but of course we have a shared calendar for Iggy, and everything, is viewed on both ends holistically.
And being able to kind of bridge something that needed that facelift, something that needed that revamp across both, not just athletics, but also the university brand too, which is also super, I think, unique to have him sit in between, because most of the time, at least for university that I went to or other universities, it is completely athletics run. So what, I guess, sparked wanting to connect a mascot and Iggy's identity to like the university branding? Like why did you guys see that as an important or a differentiator potentially?
I will say at LMU, yes, we are a D1 athletic university. We're no football, but basketball is our big sport. But the majority of students do not come to LMU for athletics. They come for a top 5 film program. They come to be in Los Angeles. They're a very creative group. So we had a ton of students who didn't even know the mascot had a name. They didn't know who it existed because they're not going to be sporting events. So we were like, how can we get him? Yes, he still needs to be a part of athletics. That's totally fine. We're not opposed to that at all. But how do we also get him out in front of the student who's never been to a basketball game, who doesn't even know we have a water polo team? So it was important for us to, involve him in more day to day. Like he shows up at Wellness Wednesday, which is like our little farmer's market every week. He had a drink of the week at the coffee shop on campus. Like he's showing up in ways that are not strictly athletics. And I think that kind of speaks to our campus culture.
And I think a lot of other institutions could probably relate to that. So I think how we have set it up could possibly be helpful to other institutions. And just getting him the places where students really are. And for us, unfortunately, right now, it's not at the basketball games.
So when you all think about the rollout and revamp of a new mascot, and I think about it, a lot of institutions will reveal the new mascot. Hey, here's what we've done. And then crickets. So what was your philosophy going into, one, creating momentum, but two, also keeping that momentum alive after that initial rollout? Because most of the time it's just like a flash, and then it kind of, the mascot either takes on a life of its own or it fades back into the background. So what was your philosophy there about how you kind of kept that energy going?
Yeah. So from the start, we looked at this as a phased approach. It was never just one moment and then it was done. So we were planning for our bandwidth, for Iggy's bandwidth, to have this phased approach. I think we did it over 3 years, phased approach.
Yes, we're on the middle of it.
So we're in phase 2 right now.
Wait, pause. 3 years, folks. Not a quarter, not a semester, a 3-year plan for building his identity. Go ahead, continue.
So yeah, we're in phase 2 right now. And I think just having that from the beginning helped us to plan accordingly, to really have a long-term rollout strategy that everyone was aligned with. Our social team was aware of this. Athletics, of course, was aware of this. The brand team was aware of this. And our other campus partners had kind of caught on.
Love a cross-functional meeting here at LMU. We love a cross-functional meeting.
The phased approach, thinking of it as a programmatic, not just a one-time moment or mascot. And ultimately, our goal is to build traditions. LMU doesn't have many. And so we're like, how can we use Iggy to make these traditions and ultimately, build the brand, especially with our students who sometimes don't really feel like LMU has any school spirit. So really tradition focus, school spirit focus, and of course, just joy across campus.
One of the things that tends to fall off when we do revamps or rebrands is that energy, like that consistency, like, oh, this is something how are you all managing internally the consistency and, like, I would just say overall diligence? Because I can imagine it's like, hey, okay, people know who Iggy is now. We've seen a little bit of success. How have you all kind of positioned or kept the energy going internally as a team? Because I imagine that that's a big lift for a 3-year plan with all the folks that may be involved. How are you energizing your internal team for that long too?
I'm not gonna lie, this is one of the more fun things that we both get to work on. So like personally, it's really fun. Also, I think a big piece of it is the students. We have currently 3 students on Team Iggy. They are fabulous, out of this world, amazing. They lift a lot of weight. They're really excited. They come to us like, hey, I brought a football for the basketball game tonight because I have a skit I want to like roll out. We need someone to wear this ref jersey and I'll like run you through my skit. And we're like, okay, you are having a blast. You're doing it. But also our higher ups definitely are invested in this as well. We have a budget set aside for it. So it's something
That
we have
helps.
be tracking like, hey, we have the money. We have like in college, like use it or lose it. We have to use this money. So
Yeah.
have to do something. Our boss is also very supportive with us doing like videos. How can we kind of get him out on social, get him out in the world? So this is a second year for his reveal moment. We did a big production video. It was really cute. And then we brought back the same videographer this year to do a birthday video for him. That's again, really cute and like on brand for him. So yeah, I think a lot of it is we have great support both from the students and from our bosses. So it's something where every one-on-one meeting I run down and Iggy is one of my points.
Yeah.
So
This becomes part of routine there, the
Yeah.
content strategy and everything. Yeah. So tell us a little, you mentioned birthday. Tell us a little bit more about the recent activations and some of these new LMU traditions that you all are actually building around Iggy as your mascot.
So just to take it back to last year, we revealed Iggy at a high energy basketball game. It went great. We had a great response. We did an in-game 2-minute video moment at halftime, which I don't think actually had ever been done before at an athletics game. And so that just went over really well. So the request from our leadership and our bosses was, let's do another in-game video moment this year. And it's really just a brand storytelling moment that, of course, we also share on social after. So we were like, what is the story this year? Obviously, last year it was really obvious. It was, he looks different. So we're like, what do the students want to know about Iggy? We had some student focus groups to figure out, we kind of presented them with 5 options and we're like, what
I want to give just the timeline when this happened too. So it was our presidential inauguration in early December. So we were 100% presidential inauguration. That ended a week later. Our higher ups were like, hey, we want a video for this basketball game mid-January. What can you turn in?
Yeah.
So it
we also were on a time crunch. So we were like, what do we actually have the time to make?
And you managed to fit a focus group in the timeline. That is impressive.
We were like,
if you feed them lunch, they will come to anything.
That's a tactic in itself.
So we did some focus groups with some ideas we presented to them. One of the ideas was it's Iggy's birthday party and he invites all his mascot friends to play a basketball game versus 10-year-old kids at halftime. And then the storytelling moment was basically, it was Iggy's birthday and he was going around and hitting all the birthday things that you can do on campus.
Awesome.
One of which is a tradition here at LMU to get thrown into the pond. So Iggy was thrown into the pond by his fellow students.
You guys have a budget to dry clean, so we know that's okay. Yep.
Yes.
It was a soggy lion.
Yeah. And then the game itself, of course, that video played at halftime. And then we had 7 local professional and collegiate mascots come out, which was really exciting. We had Rampage from LA Rams. We had Cosmo from LA Galaxy, along with like UCLA, USC.
Iggy has more friends than I do. I only had like 2 people show up to my birthday last year. Iggy had the whole city come out.
I know. I'm a little jealous. But yeah, it was fun. And we had a youth team that they played against at halftime, which was just hilarious because it was like 8 mascots versus 5 kids. And they were just like on the ground, holding on their legs and picking them up and running with them. It was a huge fan engagement moment. And yeah, we had a bunch of learnings as well to take into next year, but it was extremely well received.
It was really cool because, like I said, we have a D1 sports team, but we're not necessarily like known as an athletics school. So for us to have Tommy Trojan and Joe Bruin, like it kind of put us in a position where it's like, look, we're here too. We're a part of it. So I think our bosses really enjoyed that. I don't know if they so much enjoyed the athletics director got like borderline tackled by Rampage. I don't know if he loved that, but
It's all for the content.
Exactly. You've never lived until you've been in a room with like 7 professional mascots. It's
Yeah.
That is hilarious. And a lot of energy, I imagine. And even just thinking about what you mentioned throughout the video, he went around and he participated and discovered all these cool things you can do on your birthday. And I think that connects back to some of your students like not having the awareness of all the opportunities and all the things to do. So even using almost Iggy as almost like that prospective student mindset, like he's discovering right along like with new students. So that's pretty awesome. So especially Stephanie, in your role, let's talk about the side of mascot strategy that people don't talk about a lot. And that's the trademark, the licensing, the generating revenue, right? You all put a lot of strategy, a lot of data and research into this. What does that piece look like for you all? And what should other institutions be thinking about that they're probably not? So, like in that vein of how do we use a mascot to generate interest with students? How do we get him to recruit for higher basketball ticket sales? What goes through your mind and what should other institutions be considering? Because I think that's a piece that gets missed sometimes. Because I feel like, coming up with the costumes, coming up with the video, doing all those are the end piece. But I know you all have folks you got to answer to and say, hey, what's our ROI on this new lion? So what does that look like?
obviously there's an emotional side to mascots,
Yeah.
but there's also the intellectual property side.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ignore that, you lose control really fast. So what we did, we worked with Rickabaugh Graphics, which is a collegiate design firm. They've worked with quite a few colleges to illustrate our new Iggy. So we have a whole suite of Iggy mascot marks, which I then trademark. So these are protected under our licensing program. So this not only allows us to have control over how he's being used internally, which was huge for me. Like we have this great new mascot. I don't want students taking his illustration and now he's holding a beer. Now he's on the nursing club and holding a needle. Sorry, I just like so it not only gives me control internally over how he's being used, and I have been pretty selective, honestly, in what I am and am not allowing because he's newer. I kind of want to slowly phase this out, and I don't want the marks to get kind of overused. Michigan State does a really great job of this. They have their mascot illustrated playing all these different sports. Sparty playing volleyball or Sparty playing field hockey, whatever. For now, we're keeping him pretty tight internally and then really working to get him out in retail. We started with our bookstore. I want to say we introduced 4 apparel pieces and some drinkware, and we dropped those at Parents Weekend with an event called Meet the Main Man because we love a pun. Essentially, we hired a photo booth guy with a backdrop to come show up. He was printing out the pictures, and then our giveaway was just a simple wooden frame that said Parents Weekend because I didn't want to give away something that's taking away from the retail purchase. So they could go meet Iggy, get their pictures taken, and then buy merch. I believe we did over 20K in sales that Friday, which for a bookstore our size is like pretty impressive. I think a big part was the event and the draw of having Iggy there. Obviously, also during Parents Weekend when the wallets are on campus. Also, no one.
That was my favorite weekend.
No one loves Iggy more than like a dad. Like a dad loves Iggy and wants to embarrass the crap out of their kids. So just the line was just full of dads. But with these pieces, we've sold through both of the apparel pieces multiple times at this point. We have almost 10K in sales from the Iggy merch line.
I'll have you know, when you brought those Iggy bucket hats to AMA, my son wears his Iggy bucket hat. So LMU is represented all the way in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'll have you know.
There you go. As long as people know it's Loyola Marymount and not Loyola, Maryland.
Yes.
We get the correct Loyola across the country. But just I think because people liked him, they like the marks, they want to be wearing things with him on it. And because we're kind of doing it in a more controlled way, it makes it desirable. It makes it like, oh, I want to buy this because I can't just get it for free. So that's kind of how we're overseeing it. So honestly, from my day-to-day, it's making sure anytime the mark is being used internally, there's a good reason that it's being used internally and doing my best to expand our line in the retail siding.
Is there any concern or fears about how much energy and exposure and excitement is going on around like Iggy's identity How do you all balance that with the overall like LMU identity, or not an issue, not a problem, working together, how does that relationship work? Because I can imagine as you all continue to grow, I mean, and we'll talk about this in a second, like Iggy himself is creating this lore, right? Like he's got some aura building around himself. How do you balance, or how should a university best balance kind of that institutional side of like their brand identity with something that's kind of like up and coming and growing from what you all have done with the mascot? And just curious if that's a fear, if you've had any conversations about how you balance the two.
I feel like, and Steph can speak to this more, we actually needed something new and exciting.
Yep.
We had a lot of the institutional gear and apparel, and back in 2019, we did have a full university rebrand. With that rebrand, we've been pretty strict on visual identity, and in turn, that reflects what the limited type of apparel you can buy. I think people were begging for something new and fun and exciting, and it still isn't overpowering.
It's not just athletics requesting him. Like he gets requests. Megan oversees all his requests. Departments want him to come to an event. We're really trying to get him out to like new student orientation so that if he is becoming this recognizable face of LMU, then you should see him doing LMU things like attending classes, well, he shouldn't be in class. He's not allowed to go to church either. That's in the rules.
Well, even to that point, Stephanie, when you're thinking about the trademark and the branding and the positioning, if he's getting so many requests, how do you all manage and think about, this is a great brand opportunity for Iggy, but it also elevates like LMU and is in alignment? Like, is that just something that you all have kind of learned and seen the patterns over like the last couple of years? Or is there a particular strategy that you all think this is an Iggy thing, this is not an Iggy thing? Because if you got a bunch of requests, I imagine it's hard to tell certain folks no, and they're like, why not us?
No, we definitely have to prioritize, and that was part of the rebrand of Iggy. We basically made a whole Iggy handbook, and we made criteria for appearances, and we have that all on Iggy's website so that people, when they are requesting him, they can see what we're looking for and when we accept requests. And of course, sometimes it may not be a big brand moment, but it's still a great moment for him to go and connect with the community. So it really is case by case basis. And we also don't want to have him out there so much that when people see him, it's not exciting anymore. So we do have to be a little bit strict. And also sometimes he only needs to be there for like 10 minutes. And that's enough. So like depends on the size of
People are like, I need Iggy here for 3 hours. I'm like, you don't. You need him there for 15 minutes. He's going to show up. It's going to be exciting. And then your event will go on. Like if he's there for 3 hours, he just wanders around and then gets tired.
Having that structure from the beginning and making it available for internal and external audiences on the website is helpful, because it's like, oh, this is how we're choosing where he goes. And of course, we'll explain more when we are talking with the client, but just having them all out there, I think also helps us not get requests that are just totally off base. So
let's talk about the website piece there, because you all had an incredible and unexpected win with ESPN. They pulled content from Iggy's website for a segment, and this was something that you all said you didn't even pitch. What did that moment teach you all about that compound like value of foundational brand work for your mascot? Because that's a huge win.
It was so exciting. And we didn't know, because we were at the game. We weren't watching. So it wasn't until the next morning when someone like sent us the link, and I was like walking my dog. I'd be like, wait, is that Iggy on ESPN? Did he get a 2-minute segment?
So walk me through how that came about. So you all have a website where it has like basically a library of like Iggy assets, and they just pulled it from that because you had enough like content there to work with?
So with the Iggy rebrand last year, we made an Iggy website because there was an Iggy request form that maybe lived on the athletics website. We were like, we just need a dedicated website. And also, in a way, it was to explain and show the history of what he looked like, because we were worried about how people would perceive his new look. And so really it was just like showing the history and all the research that was done going into this, and just having a place for all of it to live, because there was nothing about Iggy anywhere. It was just like, here's his request link, and it's Spirit Squad that was like running it.
Yeah.
So we made a website. We have all this historical information, all of these photos dating back to like the 20s when he was a real lion.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, one of our colleagues actually, we didn't pitch it, but one of our colleagues knew ESPN that we were having like thing at halftime and was like, here's the website. And that was it. They pulled from it. They saw the photos. They even mentioned his rebrand from last year. They were like, yeah, we noticed that. He looked different last year.
He looks great.
And then, of course, we're like showing the Mascot game that was happening at halftime. When we were making this website, we're like, no one's ever going to look at this. We're just doing it to do it. But it paid off. And people really do reference it. And so I think it just goes to show that having the strong foundation pays off, because we did that a year ago and didn't think about it since.
It was like zero lift for us at this point.
Yes.
And also having a centralized place where, again, I know you all talk about maintaining the consistency and connection back to the brand. At least you now know people have a trusted place to pull images and assets versus pulling something offline or half baking, making something your own. There's a trusted source that ESPN is pulling from. So not a bad cosign, if you ask me.
And I think now we know next year going into this Iggy's birthday mascot game, we will pull our PR team in from the start and have them help us pitch it, because it's obviously something that's worth
airtime.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up here, what's the move you tell every school to make before they start a big mascot moment?
Audit your infrastructure. You have to know who owns it, who's going to protect it, are you going to monetize it, who's in charge of the performers. There's like a lot of things you need to get your ducks in a row before you come up with a shiny new costume. So I think that's really what allowed us to keep it going, is we had this structure, we had this background, we were ready to go. Like, this Iggy site went up as soon as he launched. So people saw the new Iggy, they wanted him, and we were able to start taking requests and getting him out in the correct way. So yeah. And of course, in every higher ed, make sure you're breaking down silos and collabing with anyone on campus, even if it's like, we've reached out to like the crossing guard to let him know that like, hey, he's like a figure on campus. Everyone loves our crossing guard. So we're like, hey, we're shooting an Iggy video today. Like, what's your schedule? Like, we really, everyone on campus is aligned with Iggy, and that really helps to move forward.
Yeah. I will say it's not a one-man job or one-woman job. It takes a lot. And I think people don't recognize that. And it's kind of like social media, where it used to be one person's job, and now there's like so many facets of social media. It's kind of like how the mascot program is. So I think just making sure you have buy-in from your leaders, and there's enough people to successfully manage this. I can't even imagine at a larger institution with a football team, it's even more people that it takes to manage, and even more student performers and more requests. So I think just making sure you do have the infrastructure and you have leadership buy-in, and everyone knows what it'll take. And it's easier when you work with your colleagues and friends across campus.
All right, so you heard it here, folks. There are amazing memories and moments that could live if you're willing to dust off that mascot, get rid of the Febreze, and add a little strategy. So remember to keep walking the walk and talking the tactics. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to Talking Tactics. If you want to try out the tactics you heard on today's show, you get a full 10 from me. And I would love to hear about how you made them your own. You can find me by searching Safaniya, Safaniya on LinkedIn. There's not many Safaniyas on there, so you'll be able to see me. And if you're enjoying Talking Tactics, please rate and review the show. The overachiever in me needs your feedback, and I'll certainly use it for confirmation or, optimization, depending on the review. And finally, if you just can't get enough great podcasts, the Enrollify Podcast Network delivers with an amazing selection of other marketing and admissions-based podcasts just for you. Visit Enrollify.org and subscribe for all the latest details and content drops directly to your inbox. Enrollify is brought to you by Element 451, the digital workforce platform for higher ed. Learn more at element451.com. See you next time.